Hey everyone, it's the Pantry Mama here, and today I'm going to show you how we make bagels. Now, here I'm mixing some active starter, water and sugar, and then I'm popping in my bread flour, okay, some salt, and I'm giving it a mix. Now, I'm showing you how to do this by hand and not in a stand mixer, just because it's much easier to show you by hand in a video. Now, I have grabbed the dough with my hands because it's just much easier to incorporate it all. I'm looking for a dry, shaggy dough here, okay? So it doesn't have to be completely mixed together. I'm going to let that sit for around 15 minutes so that everything can absorb. All right, and now I'm going to start the kneading process. Now, as per my recipe, you can do this in a stand mixer with no issues whatsoever. I'm just showing you how to do it by hand to show you what's possible. You'll find the stand mixer instructions in my recipe post. Now you can see it's not a sticky dough, it's a very low hydration dough. Okay, and I'm now going to let that sit and bulk ferment until it has doubled. The magic of video editing, it's now doubled, and I'm going to divide the dough into equal pieces of around 70 to 80 grams each. I'm going with 80, you can do anywhere between 70 and 80. The first part of the shaping process is to form the dough into small round balls, okay, and you can see that I'm doing that here. The dough isn't sticky at all, so it's an absolute dream to work with. Great if you are just starting out on your sourdough journey. You can, of course, use active starter or discard for this recipe. I'm using active starter here, but you can, of course, add up to 7 grams of yeast to your discard if you would like to. So you can see here I'm forming them into balls, and I'm going to let those balls sit just for a little, maybe 10 minutes, to allow the gluten to develop and to relax. I've slowed the video down here so you can actually see what I'm doing. All right, it's pretty easy to form them into round balls. Once you've done a couple, you'll get the hang of it. Once I have formed them into balls, I'm then going to start the actual bagel shaping process. Now, that is actually much easier than you might think. Okay, so I'm going to take each ball and I'm going to basically poke a hole in the middle. Okay, you can see me doing that here. You can do it with your thumb or your forefinger, your index finger, whichever you like. There you go. You just poke that through and then give it a little stretch. Now, I think you should stretch it a little bit bigger than you think the hole should be, just because when it rises, the hole will close up. Okay, and this is something I've learnt over making hundreds and hundreds of these bagels, because they are a massive favourite with my family. So stretch them out, don't be frightened, just give them a nice hole in the middle. Now, they don't have to be perfect. My bagels are never ever perfect. They never look like store-bought, and that's totally okay. They taste amazing. So just go through and shape each bagel, and as I said, just make that hole just a little bit bigger than you think it should be. Okay, and you can see that I'm just stretching those out now. You can see that the dough isn't sticky at all, even though it is completely fermented. Okay, it's really, really easy to work with. It's actually one of my favourite doughs to work with. If some of the balls are a little misshapen, you can, of course, just give them a little roll between your palms, and that will help to form them into lovely little balls. Once you've done a few, you will certainly get the hang of this shaping process. Now, once these are all shaped, what I'm going to do is grab a baking tray, and I'm going to pop some parchment paper on there, and then I'm going to pop those bagels onto the parchment paper. Once they're on here, I'm going to let them proof, okay, so they get nice and puffy. Magic of video editing. Now here, I'm just turning them over because this makes it much easier when you're standing at the pot ready to boil them. Now, they do stick a little bit, but they shouldn't stick too much. And if they do a little bit, just pull them off, it won't hurt them. You can see that I've got them next to my pot of boiling water and honey here. And I'm just going to pop each one in. Now, I do give each one a little extra stretch before I pop them in. That's just to make sure that the hole doesn't close up. You don't have to do that. It's just personal preference. If you want them to be a little puffier, then don't stretch them. And you can see that it makes it much easier when you've turned them over, so you're not pulling sticky bagels off a parchment paper right near a pot of boiling water. I'm just going to pull those bagels out, okay, and then I just pop them on a cooling rack while I do all of them, okay? And this is because after I've boiled them, I then dip them in my seasoning. Now, you don't have to, you can just bake them plain as is. I've got some everything bagel seasoning here. The bagels are still hot, but they're not that hot that you can't touch them, so I just use my hands and pop the seasoning on. Okay, you can see they're ready to bake. Now, I have made obviously more than just 6. Oh my God, look how dirty my oven is. And I'm going to bake those now, and you can see that they come out as lovely sourdough bagels. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope you have success with your sourdough bagels. Make sure you come and show them off in our Facebook group. It's been great baking with you guys, and I'll see you next time.